Hello guys, I'm back for another video and today talking about what if Deku was in RWBY. So in the last video we talked about how actually I've been trying to do this intro for a while now and I feel a little bit sick, but what do I mean by this? Well, I recently got a little bit of a fever. So yeah, I'm I'm still able to think straight sort of. And I'm also, a bit sort of tired, but for you guys, I want to make a video for all of you. But either way, so yeah, I won't be telling you what happened last episode for obvious reasons. And just watch what happened last episode. And by the way, let's just say it was a freaking mess for me. But either way, let's continue on. So, well, yeah, so, let's talk about what happens next, ladies and gents. So, we currently see Izuku and the rest of team, Juniper, making up a camp, as Izuku would say this. So, hey, Crow, exactly why you're here, he would say, as Crow would say this. I just want to protect you guys. Mostly because Izuku seems to be mostly the one that's doing all of the work, he would say. As one of them would say this. I see, said, a pretty much confused, Jean. As one of them would say this. Yeah, by the way, Crow said, a pretty much worried, Pyra, as she would say this. But still, what is your actual reason for, coming here, she would say, as he would say this. Well, you see, as he would start talking about how, Pyra is actually the Fall Maiden, as everybody was a bit, confused, but also surprised after hearing that, as Izuku would say this. Wait, hold up. So you're saying that she's able to use fire powers just because of that? Well, that would explain it. I almost assumed that her semblance probably evolved or something. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Why would you think that, magnetism and, fire seem to be linked? Said, a pretty much confused, Lyren, as he would say this. Seemed weirder, he would say. As one of them would say this. I mean, true. I mean, especially with your semblance, said, a pretty much, nonchalant, Nora, as Izuku would say this. Whatever, he would say. As he would say this. But also, I'm also here to tell you the truth, he would say. As he would say something a bit surprising. And apparently, it's the story of the creation of the world. Or at least the world that was basically, how the world basically started. So, apparently, there was this story about two brothers, each of them embodying creation and destruction. And I'm already seeing the comments. Oh, you mean, Dragon Ball? Just shut the fuck up. Don't talk about Dragon Ball on my channel. Fuck Dragon Ball. I seriously hate it. If you're wondering why I hate it, well, I'm probably gonna be making a rant video. If you want me to do that, just comment down below. But I won't be telling it right here because I'm still sort of sick, mostly my throat and also some of my brain. But either way, continue on. So the story goes like this. This is the story about how the creation of the RWBY world started. Apparently, there were these two brothers. One of them embodying destruction, and the other one representing creation. The creation one, which was the older brother, wanted to create anything and make it, safe for everybody. Or at least for the two of them. While the younger brother only seeks destruction and loves destroying anything that his brother creates. And so, to his detriment, he would create the Grim, creatures that only know destruction itself, and basically causing the land to basically turn into darkness. But, someday, or at least now, two of the brothers basically now sort of reconciled, and so they decided to create one final thing before they left. And this thing was humans, both embodying destruction and creation, and they can also choose their own path. And because of that, they would also create something else as well. 4 ideals, and these ideals would become the 4 relics. And apparently these 4 ideals became what is known as relics, each guarded by each of the 4 academies. And apparently, this woman by the name of Salem wants to collect them all, and when she does, she'll take over the world. After hearing this, everybody was just like surprised, including Izuku, as Izuku would say this. Wait, if those two brothers did really exist, then wait, if Jack is supposed to be the multiversal god, what happens then? So, a few months earlier, so we currently see Jack, aka Ma, basically, in front of the 2 brothers, as they're currently just like, terrified, quaking in their fucking boots, as Jack would say this. So you're telling me is, you basically caused your entire world to basically go fuck off because both of you had this sibling quarrel, as the younger brother would say this. Well, sort of, he would say, as one of them would say this. Specifically, the older brother. Yeah, my younger brother's a bit immature, but still. We sort of did make humans so we can help them out, or at least stop all of the destruction parts, but they still have a choice, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, and that choice was basically, I don't know, basically like, doing this freaking war, he would say, as he would start pointing at, a currently raging war between humans and Pontuses, as the brother would, the younger brother would say this. Yeesh. I mean, I like it, but yeesh, he would say, as one of them would say this. I mean, they do have the choice, and it's their choice for basically doing it, as he would say this. Oh yeah! And why the frick not creating monsters that basically, feed off freaking fear and destruction, he would say. As one of them would say this. Wait for a second. I mean, it's not really my fault, it's more like, as he would say this. Oh, shut the fuck up, said me. As, both of them would just be, a bit afraid, as one of them would say this. Sorry, he would say, said, the younger brother, as you would say this. Oh, no. It's more like you should say sorry to the people that are basically deal with the shit, he would say. As one of them would say this. Even though you're my younger brother, I do have to agree, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, why the fuck not did you just at least try to destroy the Grimm's, he would say. As he would say this. Well, there's a thing. Apparently, because they're made from destruction itself, I couldn't destroy them. A bit ironic, he would say. As Izuku, or at least, Jack, aka me, would just be dumbfounded, as he would say this. Oh, sweet Irish fucking beer, he would say, as he would say this. Guess I'll just be finding a reincarnate, he would say, as one of them would say this. Wait, you're going to reincarnate someone, he would say, as he would say this. Well, it seems that I'm the only one that's able to do it, so why the fuck not, he would say, as one of them would say this. I see, said, a pretty much, confused, Kim, aka, Mr. Younger Brother over there, as he would say this. So, you may go, but you're gonna be punished for this, he would say, as one of them would say this. What is this punishment, said the younger brother, as the older brother would say this. Yes, what is this punishment exactly, as he would say this. Oh, have you heard the story about, Prometheus? Yeah, the flashback would end. Not really flashback, more like, a few years earlier, like a few weeks, or a few months earlier. So, yeah, and you know what, this is a story of, of Prometheus, and his punishment. You can probably know what is gonna happen to them. So, yeah, going back to Izuku and the rest of his group. Or at least, the rest of, team. I was about to say Cardinal. I meant Juniper. So, anyway, continuing on, as we go back to Izuku and the rest of, Team Juniper, as one of them would say this. Wait, said, a pretty much, sort of annoyed, Pyra, as she would say this. So, why didn't you, travel with us instead? I mean, it would probably be more easier, she would say, as he would say this. Well, that's the thing. My semblance doesn't, well, you see, my semblance, it's bad luck, he would say. As one of them would say this. Bad luck? said a pretty confused, Gene, as you would see this. Yes, my special semblance. It allows me to create and generate bad luck around me. And if I were to do that, then if I were to travel with you, I could probably make you have a lot of bad luck, he would say, as one of them would say this, specifically Izuku. I see. That could make sense. I mean, it would make sense, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah. Even though I want to protect everybody, including my family, including my friends, I can't really do that around people. Or they would... As he would start clenching his fist, as he would say this. Whatever, he would say. Let's get some sleep, kids, he would say. As all of them would say this. Right, all of them would say. And so they would start leaving to go to their, respective tents, including Izuku. And doing so, they would get some sleep. So, when they wake up... sorry about that. So, as everybody wakes up, they would start leaving to go to somewhere else. As while they're going through, a nearby village, after a while, basically walking through some, roads. Sorry about that, anyway, continue on. As it will be split into two paths. As Izuku would say this. Well, seems that we're going to be, moving from a different village, or at least moving to a different, place instead, he would say. As one of them would say this. Specifically, said Nora. As she would say this. Yep, it seems so, she would say. As one of them would say this. So, which one would, which one should we pick, said, Crow. As Izuku would say this. I think it's better for us to basically go through, not really split up. Yeah, let's probably not split up, he would say. As one of them would say this. Specifically, Pyra. Maybe we should go into that direction, she would say. As she would point towards, well, wait for a second. As we go to Izuku, and also, well, as Izuku would say this. But not really Izuku, I meant, Pyra. As she would say this. How we continue on? I mean, we're gonna be going to another village after all, she would say. As he would say this. Specifically, Crow. Another village, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, apparently we're going to a village called Kurogiri, she would say. As one of them would say this. I see, said, Crow. As Izuku would start to get, a Vietnam flashback from Kurogiri. Yeah, after hearing that name, after hearing the name, the village name, in, the, in, the show, I would just go, wait, is Kurogiri in RWBY? I would just, shit, wait for a second. I would just go, wait, is Kurogiri in, in RWBY? And go, wait, are the two cinnamon rolls going to be interacting? And if you know what I mean, well, Izuku and also RWBY. Anyway, continue on, as after saying so, everybody would agree, including Izuku, and also Crow. And so, they would start leaving to go to where Konogiri is. As after a bit of walking, they would also step on a familiar hoof print. I meant a hoof print. In this case, the hoof print of the large monster. Or at least the supposed dream that basically caused that, previous village back then, from earlier, a few episodes ago, well, from last time, basically. And so, after that, we go to another perspective. So, we go back to, Oscar. And, yeah, because all of you guys didn't, comment in my last video, because I was telling you all of you guys to basically make up a name for, Oscar, or at least a sort of, female name for her. Well, it seems that all of you didn't. So, yeah, I'm just gonna be calling her Oscar for now. Or, actually, yeah, I'm just gonna be calling her Oscar for, easy sake. But either way, as we currently see her going through a dirty path, as she decided to go to Mistral, as she would say this. I mean, I definitely didn't want to become a huntsman, I meant a huntress, but it seems I have to do so, she would say, as Oscar would say this. Good. Now, you better be careful. There's gonna be a lot of enemies in your way, so as she would say this. Sure, husband, she would say, as after saying so, they would start moving through, the weird-looking path as they would finally arrive at a train station. As this train station would also, when they entered the train station, well, it would also seem to be raining as well, which, let's just say she was not really a happy fan about, because, well, at the last second, she would be splashed with a bit of water, as she would say this. God dang it, my clothes, she would say, as Oscar would say this. So, did you pack anything, or at least some new clothes? As she would say this. Yeah, I think so, she would say. As after doing so, she would change into, well, just a simple, jacket, and also, some pretty, tight jeans, I guess you can say. As after doing so, she would start, looking around the train station, as she would try to, find a way to look for a train. But, nearby. As we go to, another person on the train station, as this man would be revealed to be Hazel, as he would say this. Who are you, kid, he would say, as she would say this. Oh, hello there, she would say, as he would say this. Are you perhaps traveling somewhere, he would say, as she says. Oh, yeah, I'm planning to go to, Haven. Yeah, I maybe been planning to become a huntress, she would say, as he would say this. I see. So you're waiting for a train? As she would say this. Yeah, mister. As he would say this. Hazel. Call me Hazel, he would say. As she says. Oh, cool, she would say. As she would sit down, or at least, basically sit down on the floor because there's no, benches nearby. As he would say this. Anyway, kid, you better be careful, especially becoming a huntress. I heard it's pretty hard, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, I sort of heard. But I'll at least try, she would say. As after saying so, Hazel would say this. I guess, kid. As after saying so, a train would finally arrive as they would start going in. But, let's just say, Hazel doesn't really know that she's actually, has a little passenger inside of her. But either way, let's go back to the rest of, Team, Juniper, and also Izuku and Crow. So, after arriving at the city, Izuku would recognize it, including also, Leiren, and also, Nora, as all of them, all three of them would have wide eyes, as one of them would say this, specifically Crow. Hey kid, what happened to you? As he would say this. Oh, sorry about that, he would say. It's just bad memories, he would say. As Nora would say the same, including Ren. As after saying so, they would start looking at the village, now abandoned and burned. As Izuku would start clenching his fist, as he would say this. Damn grim, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Nora. Hey Izuku, she would say, as Izuku would say this. Yeah, Nora, he would say, as she would say this. I'm feeling a bit, well, not really comfortable here. So, can you please hold my hand, she would say. As he would say this. Sure. As after saying so, she would basically, instead of holding his hand, she would basically, wrap around her, wrap her, wrap her chest around Izuku's arm. As he would start feeling a little bit weird, as he would say this. Why is this happening to me, he would say. As he would start shaking it off. As he also see Leiren going good luck. Absolutely good luck. Because I could just imagine him, dealing with that, a few times during his time, with, Nora, but thankfully, he no longer has to suffer by the pancake goddess. Yeah, that's my new nickname for her, pancake fucking goddess. Oh my god. Yeah, anyway, continuing on. As we also see, both, Jean and also Pyra looking jealous. As for, Crow, he would just go, thumbs up, going, lucky kid, he would say. Oh god, wait for a second. As after a while, basically looking around, as Izuku would also notice, Ren's old home. As Izuku would say this. Hey, Ren, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, Izu, as he would also know as his old home, including Nora, as everybody else is basically, sort of like split up. Jean, Crow, Pyra, and also, Jean as also, well, split up as well, as they're currently, somewhere else. As Izuku, Nora, and also, Izuku, Izuku, Lei Ren, and also Nora would start, looking at their old home, or at least, they're sort of like old home. As Izuku would say this. I mean, at least he's not as damaged as the other buildings, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, he would say. As Izuku would say this. So, is your mother, as he would say this. No. He would start crying. As he would say this. She didn't survive. I see, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah. As he would start crying even more. As Izuku would say this. There, buddy, he would say. I got you, he would say. As Nora would also cry with them. As Izuku would say this. Your pops. As he would say this. Him as well, he would say. As all of them would start crying. In each other's arms. As Izuku would say this. I'm so sorry, he would say. If I had the energy, I could have saved you. Including your parents, he would say. As he would say this. Don't worry. I mean, it was not their fault. It was the Grimm's fault, he would say. As he would say this. No, it sort of is my fault. If I had enough power. If I weren't so weak back then, as he would say this. Shut up, he would say. As Izuku would just be surprised, as Lei Ren would say this. Don't say that you're weak. Besides, you're considered as the strongest of all of us, he would say. Don't put yourself down like that. As Izuku would say this. You're right. I should be strong, he would say. As he would start wiping his tears, as he would say this. So, let's continue on searching, he would say. As he would say this. Right, he would say. As he would start getting ready his guns. As Nora would get ready her, hammer / freaking grenade launcher, which, by the way, when I first saw the thing, I was going like, well, that's a pretty interesting weapon. And that is how I started thinking of some crazy fucking ideas. Like, for example, the chainsaw scythe. Yeah, I literally made an idea about that. So yeah, if you're wondering where I'm going to make the chainsaw scythe, well, I'm probably going to be making that for the the Azure Lane, what if, maybe. Either way, continue on. So, we go to a different perspective. Wait for a second, again, god dang it, my freaking throat, god dang it. So, we go back to, or at least sort of like go to, the perspective of, Cinder. As Cinder is currently, doing her own thing, mostly training. As she's trying to try out, a bit of her maiden powers. As she would also try, using the abilities of her, of her brand new arm. As she would start slicing through several of the Grimm, as she would say this. Actually, not really saying, but more like huffing and puffing. As we currently see, Salem watching her. As she would say this. Good. Even though that you only have a minimal enough power from the Maiden of Fall, but it's still efficient, enough, she would say. As Cinder would nod her head. But the little interaction between them would be interrupted by Tyrion. As Tyrion is currently, clutching a bit of his, left of his tail. As his tail is basically almost completely gone, thanks to help of, the all-killing Ashbone. As he would say this, Cinder, I failed, he would say. As she would say this, you what, she would say. As he would say this, I failed, that damn bitch of a child, he would say. That grey-haired dumbass, he ruined my fucking But before he can say anything else, she would say this, you failed. You damned failure, she would say, as he would say this. What? He would say, as she would say this. You dare interrupt me and the training of my much more powerful subordinate. Just because you failed? She would say, as he would say this. But I was able to get a little bit of information about his powers. Sort of, he would say, as she would say this. No amount of things that would probably, no enough. Wait for a second. No amount of anything from your mouth is ever going to is able to basically get my forgiveness, she would say. Now, leave, she would say. As after saying that, she would decide to leave instead. After doing so, she would basically be gone. As for, for Tyrion would start crying. As for, Cinder, she would just look at him with pity. Not really pity, but more like indifference. As the Grim was getting ready to, strike at Tyrion, as he would start looking at the thing, as he would say this. Die! Die! He would say, as he would start, grabbing onto the Grim, as he would start, stabbing it in the chest. Instead of actually killing it, instead, he would start toying with it. Not really toying with it, but more like, stabbing it in the chest multiple times without killing it. As he would start crying even more, saying, I failed, he would say. As after saying that, we go to another perspective. Again. So, we go back to Izuku and, and also Nora and also, Leiren. As they're currently leaving after that little, crying session. As after, walking, he would notice both, all three of his teammates, or at least Starblight teammates. Specifically, Pyra, Jean, and finally Crow, as they're currently, facing off against a Grim. And this is definitely not a normal Grim. The Grim would almost resemble like a centaur. But if the centaur still had, the horse's head. It would also have a humanoid, the humanoid part of it, or at least the centaurish part, would also seem to resemble a devil, or a demon, as it would have, large horns and a skull-like mask. Its claws almost seem to be, or at least the claws that seem to be attached to the devil-like part, seem to be almost useless. And both Nora and also, Leiren would be, in shock and also in fear. As Leiren seems to be quite angry, as he would start clenching onto his guns with a shaky hand. As Izuku would say this. What the hell is that thing, he would say. As he would say this. That thing destroyed our village, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Really? He would say. As he would say this. Or not really say anything, but he nods. Nora would also be there with a shaky hand, as she would also wield her hammer. As he would say this. I see, he would say. As he would start summoning out something. And this something, instead of being his usual, chakra, or at least aura weapons, instead, it seems to be a large sort of sword. It kind of looks like a DNA strand, but shaped into a sword. As he would say this. Sword of Munoboko, he would say. As this sword would start transforming. As the sword becomes sharper at the end, as it would almost resemble like a DNA strand. Even more, as it seems to be about the size of an average tree in Africa. The size of the same as the length and size of a tree in Africa. Was it called the tree? A Belbad tree, yeah. It's called a Belbad tree. Anyway, continue on. As after summoning the sword, the Nekolavi would, or at least the Grim, which is also named the Nekolavi, which, by the way, when I searched up the Nekolavi, it's apparently a real mythological creature, and, oh god, it's definitely terrifying, but also, great Persona material. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be making that a Persona. Yeah, alright, time to make a new OC later this video. Or at least after I finish up my assignment. But either way, so, After hearing the large Nekolavi scream, everybody would get ready their weapons, including Leiren, Nora, and Izuku, as all of them would have rage-fueled, eyes. As for Nora, she would also have resolve as well, wanting to defeat this thing to get her, to basically, I guess you could say, sort of a character arc. And as for Leiren and Izuku, they would only have hatred, and they want to get their revenge no matter what. Especially towards, Izuku's sort of foster parents, I guess you could say, because, Leiren's parents are basically like his foster parents, because at the time, Izuku was sort of like an orphan, just like, just like Nora, but except, he was sort of like adopted by Leiren's parents. But either way, Izuku, Leiren, and also Nora would get ready to attack, as, the rest of my team, Juniper, would say this: Izuku, you're back! And, wait, Leiren, Nora, where are you? As Izuku would say this: I'm gonna be tearing this bitch apart, he would say. As after saying that, Izuku would start using the sword of Nunoboko, as he would start slicing the thing in half. As after doing so, the Grim would start, screaming out once again, as he would try to, slash at them with his, pretty much rubber arms. I'm still weirded out how its arms are basically just like, freaking rubber. They're pretty much useless. But either way, continue on. So, as Izuku and, Zuku, Nora, and, and also, Leiren would start, using all of their power to basically try and kill, the Nekolavi, as Izuku would start using his sword of Nunoboko to basically start slashing at it, as it would be a little bit too fast for him to basically, do it, as Izuku would say this: well then, Sharingan, he would say, as after saying that, he would start using his Sharingan, as he would start saying this: now, Amaterasu, he would say, as after saying that, a black flame would start charging towards him, or at least starts charging towards, the Nekolavi. And as for, Leiren, he would start putting out a lot of bullets at him. While Nora, she would start using her, grenade launcher, or at least transform her hammer into a grenade launcher and start pending it with, a lot, and I mean a lot of, grenades. As for, the others, they would just watch on in absolute, awe. Including, Crow, as he would say this. I guess the kid really is strong, he would say. Wait, where did he get that sword, he would say. Actually, what the hell is that thing, he would say. It doesn't even look like a sword, he would say. As one of them would say this. Should we help them, said, a pretty much confused, Jean, as one of them would say this. Specifically, her. A.k.a., Pyra, a.k.a. Best. Oh, god damn it. As Pyra would say this. No, I think they got it, she would say. As, during the fight, Izuku would start, using a bit of his, a bit of his Susanoo, specifically, the more humanoidish half, or at least sort of like the humanoid form, without the armor, by the way, as he would start, creating two swords on one of his hands. Specifically, one hand basically, holding one sword, the other one, wielding, a larger, much more gigantic-ass broadsword. Because, if you don't know, the one with, the broadsword basically has, two joints in his hand. Just imagine, Madora's, Susanoo, where basically, when it's in this humanoid form, it basically has, two, two hands, I guess. I guess you could say, 4 arms and a hand, on, each of the, basically splitting off from the actual, branching off from the, what is that called? Whatever you want to call it. It's basically, similar to the arms of, Madora's Susanoo. As, on only one hand, or only one arm, by the way. So, as after doing so, he would start, slashing at the thing, as the Nekolavi would scream out, as he would try to, slash at Izuku once again, but because of the Susanoo, it would just do nothing. As Izuku would say this: well then, guess you'll just have to take care of this, he would say. Now, Shadow Clones, he would say. As after saying that, Shadow Clones would basically appear as they would grab onto the Nekolavi's arms. As for the rest, they would also try, grab onto its legs, as the Neko lobby would be putted to the ground. Leiren would just be there. As for Nora and Izuku, as Izuku would say this, "Now finish this," he would say, as Leiren would say this. "Sure, Izuku," he would say, as after saying that, he would grab something from his coat. And that something was his dad's knife or dagger, as Izuku would say this. "Wait, is that?" As he would say this. "Yeah, that's my dad's dagger. Oh, I've been wanting to get my revenge for a while," he would say. As after saying so, he would grab the Neko lobby by the neck, as he would stab it through the heart. After doing so, the Neko lobby would turn into nothing more than dust. After doing so, everybody would transform back into the, basically everybody would start resting, including Izuku, as Izuku would deactivate Susano. As one of them would say this, specifically, Pyra. As Pyra would say this, "Guys, are you okay?" Said, a worried Pyra, as Izuku would say this. "Yeah, I'm fine," he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, a pretty worried, Jean. By the way, what were you fighting? You seem to be quite angry when you were fighting. As Izuku would say this. "Well, tell it to Ren," he would say. I don't really remember much, to say the least." As after saying that, one of them would say this. "What do you mean you don't remember much?" Said, a pretty much, confused, Jean. As she would say this. "We'll talk about it later. But for now," but before anything else, you would start hearing something in the distance. And in the distance, they would see large, airships, or bullheads. As these bullheads are apparently from... Wait for a second. As these bullheads are airships... Actually, I'm just going to be calling them airships. As these airships are apparently from Mistral. As Izuku would say this. "Well, it seems that we got some backup," he would say. As one of them would say this. "Well, I think it's time for us to leave," said, Kuro. As Izuku would say this. "Oh, fucking agreed," he would say. As after saying so, they would start going inside of the ship. So, wait for a second. So, we currently see the rest of the group in the airship as they're currently getting ready to go to sleep. As Izuku would say this. "Well, good night, guys," he would say. As Kuro would say this. "Good night, kid," he would say. As for the others, they would also say goodnight to Izuku. And as for Leiren and Izuku, all of them would have a sort of closure. A closure to, there's sort of like hatred towards, or at least there's sort of like, revenge-filled state for basically, their village basically being destroyed. And so, Leiren, Izuku, and finally Nora would go to sleep, finally happy. Knowing that, they're sort of like, or at least, in Nora's case, sort of her friends, and in Izuku and, Leiren's case, their families are finally avenged. And so, we're gonna be moving to another perspective. Sorry about that, anyway, continue on. So, we go to another perspective, as we currently see Arthur Watts, one of the lieutenants of Salem, as he's currently, sitting on a couch, as he would say this. "So, it's been a while." As he would say this, specifically the man right in front of him. "Yes, it seems so." "So, what is it exactly?" As he would say this. "Well, I want to talk to you about something, Headmaster of Haven," he would say. "Or should I say, I just want to talk with you, Leonardo Lionheart," he would say. As after saying so, we go to another perspective. In this case, Yang. So, we currently see Yang and also RWBY, sort of like now out of their, sort of like traumatic state. I mean, sort of. RWBY is currently still, sort of like, a bit, angry and sort of like afraid after seeing the death of like Ozpin. And also for, our, our rowdy little like pun maker over there, aka Yang. She's currently still having a bit of trauma from basically meeting with Adam Toros, and she's still struggling with her one arm. As currently both of them are washing the dishes. As during washing the dishes, she would notice or more specifically Ruby would notice her basically having a shaky wrist, or at least a shaky hand. As after washing one of the glasses, she would basically let go, and it would cause it to fall. After doing this, Ruby would say this, "Wait, why did you do..." But before she can, she would see her sister, or at least older sister, basically shaking in fear, like she saw something. In this case, her little almost, her almost death. As Ruby would say this, "Wait, Yang, are you okay?" As she would say this, Yeah, I'm fine," she would say. As she would say this, "Yeah, definitely," she would say. As after saying so, one of them would say this, specifically Yang. "So, where's Izuku?" she would say. As Ruby would say this, "Well, I heard that he's gone to Mistral. Apparently, with the rest of Team, Juniper," she would say. As she would say this, "I see," she would say. As one of them would say this, specifically someone in the background, "Hey, so, are we actually gonna go to Mistral?" said, a pretty much confused, what's her name? God dang it. A pretty much confused Rachel, as one of them would say this, specifically, Dove. "Yeah, I mean, we should, at least support our teammate," she would say. As one of them would say this, specifically Yang. "He will be fine. At least I think so," she would say. As after saying so, she would start leaving, as she would get a package. As she would basically, after getting the package and opening it up, she would look inside of it. She was also in her room, by the way. As after looking at the package, she would see a prosthetic arm. A prosthetic arm. As after seeing that, she would also gain a letter. As it's from Ironwood. As the letter would say this, "Hello there. The name is General Ironwood. And yes, I'm that General Ironwood. I'm also here to basically give you this. A prosthetic arm. I got it from Atlas. This actually used to be mine, but after a few days of growing up, well, I decided to upgrade. So I wanted to give it to you. After all, after hearing about your, the loss of your arm, I wanted to give you this. I hope you like it. Love, General Ironwood. P.S. Please be careful with it. It's a bit, rusty after all." As after seeing this, she would just be, a bit conflicted. On one hand, it would be great to have an arm, but on the other hand, she still feels shaken up after the little fight between her and also, Adam. Actually, it's not really a fight. It's more like a freaking, bloodbath, where she almost got killed and lost her arm. As after seeing it, she would say this. "Probably not," she would say. As after saying so, she would start, leaving the arm, or at least the new prosthetic arm, somewhere else. As we currently see her just doing some other shit with with her sort of roommates, aka, wait for a second. And, she's not really, she's basically going through, not really the town, but more through the house, basically talking to both, Rachel and also, Dove, and a bit of Ruby. Sorry about that, god dang it, my nose, what the fuck. As we would see her basically looking out the window, as it was currently late at night, currently, as she would see her father, and also two more people, and these people seem to be, as she would see, both Professor Oobleck and also Professor Port, as one of them would say this, specifically Professor Port. "Well, we wanted to visit our lovely little student over there. Well, it seems that she lost her arm, but we still want to know that if she's okay. As Iblik would say this in a pretty fast voice. Yeah, we just want to see her if she's okay, at least. I mean, after the whole, Grim attack, and also, a bit of the traumatic memories, probably from losing her arm, and also probably, almost getting killed, I want to see if her, health, or at least her mental health, seems to be okay. And I also want to see Ruby if she's also okay as well. As after saying all of that, Tai, what's his name again? Fucking dang it. As Taiyang would say this, yeah, ever since the sort of fall beacon, I see them rarely, especially Ruby. She seems pretty sad lately. I want to see them prosper at least. I want to take care of them. And I also want to take care of my daughter. I mean, both of my daughters, he would say. As after saying that, she would be wide-eyed, as she would sort of have resolve. And so she would decide to try and wear the new prosthetic arm. And so, we sort of skip to a few minutes later, or at least a few hours later. As we currently see, Ruby waking up early in the morning, as she would start stepping outside, as she would say this. He seems to be quite wonderful, she would say, as after saying that, she would start grabbing her Crescent's rose, and she would decide to maybe train. But, after a while of walking, she would notice a bit of fighting nearby, as she would say this. Wait, what is that? Wait, is that Yang, she would say? As after saying that, she would start walking through the forest, as she would see both Taiyang, aka her father, and also, Yang basically fighting. As she would say this. Wait, are they training? Guess I would go train somewhere else. And so, after doing so, and after a bit of training, and also a few days of basically, basically doing all of that training, we would currently see Yang basically, in the garage, as she would be looking at her bike, Bumblebee. Wait for a second. A few months have basically or at least a few days have gone by, as we currently see Yang basically looking at her bike, Bumblebee, as we would currently see her, with a certain someone, aka, her father, aka, Taiyang, as he would say this. So, you're planning to leave, he would say, as she would say this. Yeah, I want to go back, and also, I want to see Izuku again, she would say, as Taiyang would laugh a little bit, as he would say this. So it seems that my little girl seems to have finally fallen in love, he would say, as she would say this. I guess, Dad, she would say, as he would say this. So, you're planning to find that boy? Then, he's probably a Mistral. By the way, be careful, he would say, as she would say this. Right, she would say. As after saying that, she would get ready to leave. But before she can, she would hear, Hey Yang, she would say. As after looking back, she would see her sister, and also both, members of Team Colorless. AKA both, Rachel and also Dub. As she would say this. Wait, what are you guys doing here? And where are the bags? She would say. As one of them would say this. Well, we are leaving. I mean, after hearing about that you're planning to leave and trying to follow Izuku, then why not? I mean, we need to be supportive towards our teammate. As she would say this. I guess, she would say. But it seems that we don't really have any room, she would say. As, she would say this. Specifically, Ruby. As she would say this. Oh, I know. Maybe we can modify it, she would say. As she would say this. Modify my bike? I guess, she would say. As after saying so, she would modify her bike to basically become a little bit more like a, well, if you, imagine something similar to You know those bikes with, like, the little, like, cart thing? Yeah, that's basically what it is. And so after putting in their bags and basically going into their, respective seats, they would start leaving to go to Mistral. So, yeah. So, this is going to be the end of this episode. And so, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!